Hello, my name is John Sweeney, and these are exciting times.
Investigative reporter John Sweeney came to Liverpool John Moores University this week to talk to students about his long and successful career. The BBC journalist spoke about the most compelling aspects of his work with Panorama, from Scientology and Vladimir Putin to his controversial undercover report inside North Korea.
The North Korean tyranny is the darkest place I've ever been to, no question. It is awful, and nobody there knows anything about how good the rest of the world can be. That was how
After speaking to the students, we sat down with Mr. Sweeney to talk about the highlights and difficulties during his time at the BBC.
Okay, John, welcome back to Liverpool, a city with many connections for you, for family reasons as well.
My mum was from Liverpool, my dad's from Birkenhead, and when he was alive he supported Tranmere Rovers, and when he died I thought I've got to support him. And my son supports Tranmere Rovers too, and was working in a special school in South London, and they said, "Which team do you support, sir?" "Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea." And it was Sam's first day and he said, "I support Tranmere Rovers. Do you have a problem with that?" And then he became Hey Tranmere and all of that. But no, it's Liverpool is a great city and it's always fun to be here.
You've had a very illustrious career. Some would say you're best known for your outburst with Tommy Davis with your coverage of Scientology back in 2007. Looking back on that outburst now and what has happened in your career since, would you say that was a good or a bad thing?
I think that I was wrong, and I apologise then and I apologise now. However, I'd like to thank the great British public who pay my wages, who got it, that Scientology put me through a mill, and this was a howl of anguish of a normal human being who'd endured too much. There is something, I think, dark about this thing that calls itself a church. And although I'm sorry I lost my temper with them, and I shouldn't have done so, it also tells you something about the Church of Scientology, and for that I make no apology.
Some people would say you are a controversial figure. How does it make you feel?
I'm a passionate storyteller. I'm passionate about telling stories, and the stories I want to tell are the stories powerful people do not want told. And I will get out of bed in the morning and stay out of the pub in the evening to do that. And often, when you're dealing with powerful people who do not want journalistic scrutiny, they will try and block you, as Scientology tried to do, or the North Korean tyranny tries to do to everybody. And so to try and get there and tell the story on behalf, give a voice to the voiceless, that can cause trouble. Now, the problem is I don't embrace trouble, I don't want it, but at the same time it comes with the territory. Trouble kind of ends up being a business.
Last year, you embarked on an undercover report in North Korea. Now, it wasn't without controversy, but it certainly was an eye-opening experience for you, and I'm sure for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, there is a big dispute about the making of the film. I don't think there's a problem with the film itself. The difficulty, I think, is that there is a dispute about the facts about what happened. But essentially, we believe that everybody who came on the trip paid £3,000. They all knew John Sweeney was going. Who's John Sweeney? They knew a journalist was going. But essentially, the North Korean tyranny says no journalists are allowed unless under particular supervision. And we broke that rule. And they came after us using their agents afterwards, and then there were the students at LSE and so forth and so on. But the problem is, if you don't have a go, then you end up doing what the tyranny wants you to do, which is to leave them alone. And this is a place which has set off 3 nuclear bombs underground, that maintains a hideous gulag where torture, cruelty and famine are constants for the poor people who suffer there. And I genuinely feel that more journalists should try and get into North Korea and tell the story of what's happening in North Korea. The more the better.
Earlier this year, you doorstepped Vladimir Putin, and I wonder if you could just describe the adrenaline rush you get from speaking to one of the world's most powerful men.
I fix him in the eye, and I'm asking him, I'm not just talking about the Ukrainian dead and the Russian dead, but also the Dutch, the Malaysian, the Australians, the British, so that I'm talking about the plane, MH17. And I'm focused on the moment I want him to answer the question. But it is intimidating, and what you can't see is that there is a wall of Kremlin muscle staring at me. And as I said, I'm not a timid man, but it did feel a bit scary. I felt proud and honoured in some way to be able to act for the people who were grieving for the loss of MH17 and the wider victims of the war in the Ukraine.
Of course, most recently, in the last couple of weeks, the Panorama investigation into the Fake Sheikh, Mazin Mahmood, was shown on BBC One back in November. You must have been very relieved to have it finally broadcast.
It was great that it came out, and I was afraid, and I was talking to Mark Lewis, who was one of the lawyers in the film, and he's the guy who blew the whistle on phone hacking. And he said the scary thing is that if you go against the News of the World, the Sun on Sunday, the Rupert Murdoch organisation, who knows what they'll dig up about you in your past. And that was frightening, and I thought about it, and I thought, I'm worried about that.
What drives you as a journalist?
Some sense that the world should be a fairer place, that people in power should be held under scrutiny, and that you should give a voice for people who are voiceless.
Many students up and down the country will be wanting to know, what would your advice be for those looking to break into TV journalism?
Try and stand up for ordinary people if they're being victimised or unfairly treated or wronged. And I don't feel, including all the heat from North Korea, I don't have nightmares about what I've done as a journalist. I have some nightmares about what I've seen, but not about what I've done, and that's good. But I feel that there are many, many, many PR people these days, but actually journalism is the pure and good thing. Telling somebody's story when they're afraid to speak, that's a magnificent thing to do, and I'm proud to have done it.
Thank you for listening.